putting these bigger engines in them, it's definitely beneficial for. Somehow I found it like in my yard. 650 power. Whoa! This guy on a superjet, he wants to race. All right, JetSki brothers, it's me, Jacob, here with another episode. Should be pretty good. We're gonna be putting a 650 in this 550, and since this is one of the easiest engine swaps, we should be able to do it maybe in one video, fingers crossed. But first of all, I want to give a shout out. I went to buy some jet ski parts on OfferUp, and I ended up going to the guy's house, and he was a subscriber to the channel. So we're talking about you, Marcus. So I went to go buy some 550 parts from Marcus, and yeah, I ended up doing it. I bought some parts for this 550 engine, and now I have spent more time than I want to trying to make it run, like a lot of you guys probably have. And so I'm gonna do what I think is one of the best solutions to getting your 550 to run, and that's just cutting bait on it and putting in a 650. Like I am. So, Marcus, this is for you. And, yep, I'm cutting bait on that 550 that I intended on using. So, I guess to get started, you just go ahead and yard out your engine. So, I'm going to do that, and if you guys can't figure out how to do that, then I don't know, man. I mean, there's a couple of engine mount bolts, some cables. I think you guys are smart enough to be able to get your engines out. But, yeah, stay tuned. Alright, so we have the engine out, sitting right here. So, really, 650 is not much bigger. It's a little heavier. I think it's like 10 pounds heavier. And, yeah, I think it's more heavier in a good way, so it'll make it handle better. But so this is what you need. These are adapter plates to make that bed plate fit on this engine. If you know how to fabricate, you can make them yourself. But you know, for guys that don't know what they're doing, you can just buy those, and it works great. And then you need a 650 voltage regulator, and then you can hook this 650 engine up. You can use 550 440 electronics, and it fits in there pretty good. And you also are going to need a 650 pipe, which I'll have one out in a little while here to kind of show you the rundown on that. But yeah, now I'm going to stick this bed plate on this engine with these adapter plates. So here we go. Alright, you guys, so here's another hot little tip for you. So if you do this, it's best to swap out this drive coupler with one that's from an actual 550. This is a 650 one right next to it. So as you can see, the snout's much shorter, so you'll be sticking out to there. So you basically, for the best performance, want to stick a longer drive coupler on there. These engine mounts are set up so you have a place for both styles of drive couplers, but you know, if you don't know what you're doing, you can just leave the stock one on there and bolt it up, and it'll still work just fine. It's just having the weight further forward on this one is better, and it'll make it handle a little bit better. So, but you don't have to do it, and I don't think it's probably not that much worse. But it's not like it's going to be worse than it was with the other engine in it. So, putting these bigger engines in them and moving them further forward is it's definitely beneficial for the handling on these. So, but yeah, so now we've got the bed plates installed, and I'm going to shove this thing in the ski. getting kind of windy here, and we're gonna do some exhaust talk. So There are two stock 650 styles of pipes that you could technically use, and here they are. This is the bolt together kind, and this is the coupler clamp style. So the bolt together one does not fit very good inside these 550 holes. Heck, even this one doesn't exactly fit 100% great. Bolting this up to the manifold, it's you can't really do it. So if you are going to use this type of pipe, you probably are going to need to like stick this section in a vise and tweak it or something. But I mean, as far as reliability though goes, these are going to be nice, because since it's bolted together here, you're never going to have to worry about it popping apart. But it's, you know, you might have to take the torch and twist it a little bit, but it can still work pretty good. Or you can just throw this in the next two and take this kind out, right? So this stock little rubber coupler always comes undone on everybody the first time they put one of these together, and I'm going to show you how to put it in later in a way that keeps it from coming apart. But basically, this stock coupler has like grooves for the barbs on each side of this. So basically, I guess I'll do a little install for it when I get to that point. But it can be a bit tricky to get it in there and have it stay together. A lot of times they do just blow apart when you don't do it correctly. So I'll show you that. But also for the stinger, you can see it's going to go right where the old one was. You have to cut a section of exhaust hose that's shorter to get it right in the spot. So I kind of eyeball measured it up, and first you're going to install your tail cone, right? And then you are going to install your head pipe. And there are some different aftermarket pipes that fit in these, and I have never put one in. I've had one that I've tried to put in. I've tried to put a West Coast in one of these things, and it fit like crap, and I gave up on it. So you can do it. It's pretty hard though, so just beware. You might have to grind the flanges or do some weird tweaking to get them to fit. So, but I'm gonna skip forward because I don't really have a good camera holder for it. So you're probably not gonna get to see me do a whole lot, but I'm just trying to take you through step by step. Hope you can kind of see from this angle, but so how you get this into here, the easiest way to do it is have one of these sides loose so that you can twist the pipe like this, and you should be able to just drop it in from the back and then twist it back forward, and then you want to get these tight first before you bolt it down. If you bolt everything down except for this last, you'll be tightening this at an angle and it'll want to pop off. So it can be really tough with different aftermarket exhausts trying to get them in here, but that's the method for the stock one. And if you never did it before, sometimes you can take a long time trying to figure out like just how to get the whole puzzle together. But I'm gonna try. Let me think of how many of these Kawasaki 650s I put in these 550s. I did my first one, second one, and third. So I guess this is gonna be my fourth one that I've ever done. And so I've learned a few tricks about it over the years. This engine actually I had in the JSki, and I was trying to set it up with the Yamaha electronics and flywheel, or electronics and stator, and it bolts right up, but the timing is far enough off that it wasn't firing up really. I mean, I could keep it running if I held down the start button the whole time, but and maybe I could have, pushed the timing all the way in one direction and kind of got it close, but I didn't think that it was close enough to be worth messing around with it anymore. So that whole idea with the Yamaha electronics on this 650 Kawasaki, nothing really great came to that, except for I can pretty much tell you now that you probably, definitely, for sure shouldn't do it. But anyway, this is going to be the first kind of hopped up 650 that I've ever put in one of these. So it's got a high compression milled head. So this one, I believe, is probably pretty close to the max amount of safe compression you can run on a head. And these are twin Mikuni 38mm I-body carbs off of a Sea-Doo on a modified 750 Kawasaki intake manifold. So got to do a little bit of welding for that, and if you don't have the tools, you're probably not going to be able to do that at home. So but that was the way for me to get this cheap carburetor set up on here. So also another interesting tip that you might like is if you have a super high compression or a milled head or something and you are not sure how gnarly, how many cc's the dome is, what you can do is you can just stick like a spark plug in the hole and then hold it upside down level on like a counter, and then I just happened to have like a little syringe laying around, and I was able to kind of count the cc's of water that I was able to sit in the dome and still be flat. And so that was how I was able to get an idea if this was like something that was immediately going to blow up my ski, or if it was something that you could run and have it be reasonable. So, and then, if you don't know what cc is going to be, what compression, I think I looked on I think it was the ADA website that said what cc domes give you what compression, or what kind of gas you can use with what domes. So that's kind of helpful. If that helps somebody, that'd be cool. But just a little extra tidbit for you. But yeah, so now the engine's in there. It just needs to get bolted up basically. I probably should bolt the bed plate down before I get this pipe in, because it's going to be easier to get to it that way. And another good tip is probably pressure wash the hole out before you stick the new engine in. I did not do that, and it looks like crap down there. So, but yeah, I think now I'm gonna start buttoning up the engine so that we can get to the electrical side of it. So here's another hot tip for you. This line for the cooling line from the pump here that goes into the engine here, you're going to want to get that on there before you put the pipe on, because if you have to do it after you put the exhaust together, it's a lot harder to get your hand down there, and it sucks. So yeah, do that. Alright guys, check it out. The exhaust is all bolted up, and this is the spot I was talking about earlier. So this exhaust, the lower part bends down like that because it hits at the top a little bit. So you have to push the lower chamber down for it to be able to fit in here. And so this center section bolts to where this bolt hole is, and that's why you basically need this section to have a little bit of flex. So if you're using the bolt together pipe, you can put a spacer right here, or you can put a spacer right in this section where it bolts together, and it'll drop it down a little bit. And yeah, I think that actually is probably the best option if you're able to do it, because when it's bolted together, you don't have to worry about it ever blowing apart. And this can be annoying dealing with hose clamps here. So but I would recommend, once you get it in there, get this neck kind of aligned where it's close to what it's going to be. And then I would tighten these ones first, and then kind of get the bolts started a little bit. And before you tighten them down here, I would make sure that this back neck is tightened all the way, so you get it tight, and then after you get it tight, you can bend it down and not have to worry about it popping off. So that's my 2 cents for you. But now we're gonna get the rest of this guy hooked up. Each 650 is gonna have kind of a different carb setup. Some of them come with a some of them you'll have to put like a little bracket on the back of the carb, or maybe, I think I've had a couple where I've done like a throttle cable bracket that bolts to the bed plate. There's a couple of them that are the style where it bolts to the air cleaner. So yeah, I'm pretty sure for you guys, figuring out how to hook up your throttle cable is probably the least of your issues. So and it's going to be different for every setup. You know, if you're putting a Mikuni in there, if you're keeping the stock Cayenne, which it seems like that stock 650 carbs are pretty lame, but I've never ran a 650 with anything other than the stock one, so this should be an interesting way to see how good it is. So but yeah, move on to the next thing. Alright guys, now we're gonna get a little bit tricky. Now I got the electronics box opened up, and this is an SX set of electronics, so the wire colors might be a little different than what you got. But basically, I know that this is your stock voltage regulator here. And this is, I think, the rev limiter. I don't think these are on all of the models, but we're going to be ripping this thing out, and we're going to be ripping this thing out. And it's been a while since I've done one of these, so I'll tell you more when I get there. Alright guys, so I got it some of the way done. So this is the new 650 voltage regulator I put in. I put the Tandem Sport 651 in, which is a little just different wire colors than the 650 SX ones. I have a Tandem Sport 650 stator, which is 4 wire. 650 SX ones are 5, and I think it's just an extra ground wire that they add in. It's all compatible. It's just one of them is going to be easier to understand with all of the diagrams that there are out there to do this. So but this is how far I've gotten. So you just stick the new voltage regulator in right where the old one was. It looks like this fuse wire goes straight to this red wire here, and then you got 2 brown wires gonna go to these 2 brown wires, and then I'm gonna just have to look up on the internet what the other stuff goes to, because I can't remember. I think there's some unused wires in here, and so yeah, I'll have to go and take a look at it. Alright, so you're going to be wiring your new stator wires into these electronics through this port. The old ski hat, or the old engine has, I have it in front of me. So this guy, this little fitting, is what goes in that hole. And you can, you know, you can find one of these, I'm at a loss for words, whatever that thing's called. You can hook the new stator up through that and wire it into the new e-box, and it'll look super clean. But I found this little plate that I made probably like 5 years ago to do my first 650 swap that I ever did, and I lost it before I ever actually used it. So somehow I found it like in my yard a year and a half ago. So I'm just going to use this guy, bolt it down right here, route the wires through that hole, and I'm going to put a bunch of gasket maker in there because I don't have the little grommet that goes over the wires. I don't know, maybe I'll find one, maybe I have one laying around here, but yeah, just thought that was funny. So But yeah, you have to find something to seal it through the hole right here, and this is how I'm doing it. It's getting super windy here, and it's getting crappier for filming, so I might have to finish this tomorrow, but this could have been like the one-day engine swap video if I didn't smash my finger in the beginning of the day, and if this wind kind of let up a bit. But yeah, I've only been in this, maybe an hour and a half. Already got the engine in there and working on the electronics, so it's pretty simple for me because I've already done it for sure. But it's really not. This is probably the easiest engine swap that there is to do on one of these skis. But I want to show you one little thing that I got going. So I've got to connect this clipped stator. I got to connect to the start or to the voltage regulator. I'm just going to use one of my crimp waterproof bullet connectors to do that, and then that just makes it a little bit cleaner and nicer. And yeah, if you buy yourself a set of the bullet connectors, you're going to thank yourself for having it already when you go to do this stuff. So that's another tip for you. Go buy a set of the blue heat shrink bullet connectors. Anyway, basically it looks like I'm going to be connecting these two wires with these two wires and this other purple wire from the stator. So basically all 5 of these wires, they just get connected together. So if you do yours at home, it's probably going to be a little bit different depending on what stators you have, and it can be tricky picking through what you're supposed to do. And I'm not the greatest at doing this type of stuff, but it's fairly easy once you've done one to kind of know what you're doing. Okay, so here is how I have it. So we have these two, basically all of the 5 wires. So this one is from the stator, these 2 purple are from the igniter, and I think, what is this, the rev limiter? I don't know what this is. And then these 2 too. So you're gonna find out if that was wrong and I didn't do it right, because then this thing's not gonna work. So yeah, and then for me, I've got this trick where I gotta figure out which colors match up for the start-stop switches, because I have a JS buttons with 550 SX electronics, so the colors are a little bit different, so I gotta go look up and see which ones go where. But that's about it. Okay, well, yeah, now it's the next day. Josh is here.
Hi.
And so I spent like all the time that I spent showing you guys how to put this together, I spent monkeying around, and I eventually found that I had a little bit of a faulty start-stop switch. It wasn't super blatantly obvious, but now I got the battery in there, and I got it put together, and it should start up. I primed it up a little bit. This battery in here kind of sucks, so I'm jumping it, and I got my throttle cable all set up in there. And what else? Yeah, so it should start up.
I'm like shivering.
So
it was like sliding back on the cart.
Yeah. So I can't remember what I said about the carbs, but these are like Sea-Doo 657 or something, I think is what they are. And I'm just running the stock jetting in those with the custom manifold, and I'm hoping that it's pretty fast like that. I think these stock come with like a 128mm or 38mm carb, and these are 2 38mm carbs. So
Twin 38s.
Twin 38s on here, twin Makunis. I think it'll be pretty good. If you want to check this out, I'm doing some super extendoing on this wire. Hopefully I can figure out something that helps before I take it out. Something that...
Hey, you got a pipe on this thing, man.
What do you mean?
Isn't this an aftermarket pipe, or is that a...
No, it's just a stock 650 pipe.
Oh, okay.
This is the one that you use for these skis because it's the easiest one to fit in there. So
what did you do?
I had my bottoms like open like one turn, and then this high speed one I had all the way shut. I thought I just left them all at one.
Wow, nice.
Turn. It'll probably run much better after I get this going.
Drag race. This guy on a superjet, he wants to race.